Hello and welcome to the Dietitian Says What podcast. This is episode 1 of the Dietitian Says What podcast, and my name is Stephanie Gomez, and I'm a registered dietitian in Southern California. And if you missed last week's introduction, as we get into some of the topics, we are going to hold true to a theme that I tend to call low-hanging fruit. So it's the idea of anytime you decide on something that we talk about and you set a goal for yourself, there's an action plan, you are ready to do something about it. My recommendation is that you go with low-hanging fruit. So set goals for yourself that are absolutely achievable, because you're going to begin to build that self-confidence and that confidence in your abilities that you're able to accomplish things. So set super achievable goals and make them more challenging as they expire, and you'll continue to move forward from there. Now, for the topic of weight loss is a super complex topic. There's really not one right way to do it. So I'm going to give you some very foundational items that make sense for everyone, and they are going to be not only ways that you can lose weight, but also improve your health, and that matters too, right? So there are times when I'll have people come to me that they're actually eating very well and they are exercising on a regular basis, and they cannot figure out why they're not able to lose any weight. And sometimes it boils down to stress management, and sometimes it boils down to sleep, and sometimes it's something completely different. So the answers here will not necessarily be the end-all be-all answer for you, but like I said, it'll give a foundation for eating well that will likely lead to weight loss. Now, before we get too far into it, I'm going to recommend that you pause and go to my website and grab this free ebook. This is what I'm going to run off of. So our group, our session here, our podcast will last about 10 minutes. But if you go to the Begin Again Nutrition website, on the resources page, you can download this free ebook. I've titled it A Grocery List. It is so much more. It's going to help us with the principles of frequency of meals, of balanced meals and snacks, and understanding what is a carb and what is a protein, and how should I combine these foods? How can I make a meal out of them? So I'd go and grab that. Now, as we get started, one of the first principles before you even begin to consider what food I'm going to bring into my house for weight loss is don't go into the grocery store hungry, because it's going to be really easy to make some tough choices, some terrible choices, right? So I would recommend that you eat something before you go. And the very first page of that ebook has some examples of foods that you might eat to help you feel satisfied, depending on what time of the day you're going grocery shopping and what you have available at that time. And as we move from there, another principle in that same handbook is going to be about meal planning. So if you are going to go and purchase food, it's really important that you have an idea of what you're planning to make throughout the week. That way you buy the right foods. So the second page of that has got some information and suggestions for meals that you might have. It's got about a week's worth of meal planning in it. Now, the third topic that it covers is balanced meals and snacks. Now, regardless of the reason people come to me, this is one topic that I always talk about, is the balanced meal and the balanced snack. It's really important that we're eating balanced meals and snacks because we want to avoid glucose spikes. It's really important for disease prevention. It's also really important for mental health, for our mood, for our cognition, for our ability to not have a foggy brain, one that thinks clearly. And it's also really important for weight loss, because we want to make sure that we are having meals that encourage that glucose to go from our bloodstream into our muscles so it can be used for energy. So as we get into that, that's actually the third principle in this book, is balanced meals and snacks. Now, if we talk about a balanced meal, what I always do with my clients is I draw this circular plate. It's a regular plate, not a tiny plate. It's a 9-inch dinner plate. And this is called the plate method. So the idea is that you're going to have half of that plate be vegetables, so non-starchy vegetables, and there's a list of non-starchy vegetables in that handout as well. And 1/4 of the plate would be your carbs, and 1/4 is your protein. So this is not a tiny amount of food. It's a moderate amount of food, a regular meal that would help you to feel satisfied for 3 to 5 hours. And it's going to be a meal that would cause you to feel satisfied, and it's going to cause stable blood sugars so that your brain works well and so that you've got energy and that your mood is good. Now, another component of that balance plate, that half plate veg, 1/4 carb, 1/4 protein, is that it has enough nutrients in it that is going to cause your gut to be healthier as well. So we'll cover gut health in another podcast, since I'm trying to keep these at roughly 10 minutes, give or take a few minutes. But consider that. So as we have a meal based on the plate method, half veg, 1/4 protein, 1/4 carb. And we have snacks that have at least two of those components, at least a carb and at least a protein. The rest of that handout is going to talk about where those foods fit, like what's a carb and what's a protein and what's a healthy fat and what is a non-starchy vegetable. That's why that handout would be really useful for you to go and grab that. Again, it's free, it's a PDF, you can download it, you can print it, whatever you like, but it is absolutely a useful resource that I would for sure recommend that you take a look at. Now, if we're going to plan a really simple snack, it might be a piece of fruit and some nuts, like a peach and some pistachios possibly. Or it might be an apple and peanut butter. So the fruit would belong to the carbohydrate group, and the nuts or nut butter is going to belong to the protein group. Now, the interesting about nuts is that they're healthy fat and they're protein, but we can count them as our protein for our balanced snack. And we also have beans, for example, that they are starchy. So they're a carbohydrate, but they can also count as protein. So as I help clients to build meals and build snacks, we talk about those principles and try to make sure we have an understanding, especially if there's a need to measure blood sugar and keep it in a very tight range for those who have diabetes or prediabetes, for example. I talk further, I go a little bit deeper into that topic. But for this conversation, the foods that are listed in this handout would be a great resource. They are in their category of carbohydrate and protein, and you can easily build a healthy meal or a healthy snack. So the general recommendation, unless you've got IBS or SIBO or some other digestive issue where we might recommend more rest on your digestive system, it's a really nice recommendation to have a meal or a snack every 3 to 5 hours and just have it be balanced. So again, carbohydrate and protein for that snack, and then the meal would have carb, protein, and half plate veg. Those basic principles are naturally going to lead you toward weight loss and toward disease prevention. Now, if you have specific questions and you want to talk about it further, please let me know. You can throw it in the comments. You can reach out to me either on Instagram, on Dietitian Says What, or Begin Again Nutrition, or you could go back to that website, beginagainnutrition.com, and feel free to hit the contact page, and there's a button where you can reach me there, or you can email me at stephanieg@Begin Again Nutrition. And if you've got some specific questions, I can help you. And if you want to work together, I do telemedicine, so we could easily work together as well. Those are some of the basic principles for weight loss. And then again, as far as goal setting goes, let's make it make sense. So in order to lose weight, you do not have to ditch all of your favorite foods. You do not have to ditch cultural foods. You can make them fit. So I would follow along with that grocery list and see which category those fit into, and then just go with the recommended portions. So a meal would probably have 3 to 4 servings of carbohydrate. If we're talking about rice, that might be a cup of rice. If we're talking about tortillas, that might be 3 corn tortillas, or it might be 2 corn tortillas and a little bit of rice and some beans. So there are ways to make it work. And if you've got questions about portion sizes, I can definitely help you with that as well. But the idea is going to be to balance. So if you've got 3 servings carb, there's 3 servings of protein, which is going to be about 21 grams of protein, and go from there. So read the labels. If you're interested in a live group to help with label reading, I can help you with that as well. And we'll go from there. So I want to thank you for attending this podcast. Please subscribe, tune in for the next one, tell a friend. This will be a fantastic resource for you to be able to reach your goals and improve your overall health. Thanks for being here. Take care.